Hi, my name is Imogen, I'm 19 years old and I'm currently on a gap year. But today we're not going to be talking about my gap year. Over the past 5 years, I've been involved with a number of different organisations and charities who help to get young people's voices out there. And through working with these different charities and organisations, I've had a number of different opportunities. I've spoken at all-party parliamentary groups in Parliament, I've spoken at events for specific charities in Parliament, and I've even spoken at the dispatch box.
But to move the motion, please welcome from the east of England, Imogen White.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Hundreds upon thousands of young people are living on a knife edge, fearing for their lives and turning to a violent weapon just to feel safe in their local communities. Nearly 3 years ago to this day, I walked home from buying a bar of chocolate at my local shop through a police cordon. I don't live in London, Birmingham, Manchester or Liverpool. No, I live in a small, leafy village in the home counties. This issue is not exclusive to densely populated inner cities, but it affects every single one of us and our constituents. I can still recall the fear I felt that night 3 years ago. This is the same fear that has led to nearly 200,000 young people putting a cross in the box and voting for the End Knife Crime motion. It is the same fear that causes young people to vote for this issue, that leads to more and more young people carrying a knife just to feel safe. The knife crime epidemic is crippling our nation, changing our perception of what it is to feel safe and unnecessarily taking too many young lives. We need to vote for this motion, campaign to end knife crime and prevent any more young lives from being unnecessarily taken. Thank you.
But today I'm going to be talking about how you can get involved and access these opportunities just like I have. So without further ado, I'm going to give you my 5 top tips for being a youth activist. So the first thing I would say is get yourself set up on Twitter and make sure that you're following the right people. You're going to want to follow the youth engagement officer of different charities or the outreach worker for different organisations, because when an opportunity comes up for a young person to be involved in a specific event, or they're looking for a team of young people to make a youth advisory panel or a youth board, then they're going to be the first people to tweet about it, and you're going to hear about it first if you're following them. As a starting point, I would recommend following a few accounts like the British Youth Council, UK Youth or My Life My Say, because all of these organisations have huge youth networks and are really committed to finding opportunities and sharing them with the young people that they are connected with. So that opportunity has come up on Twitter or you found it online and you're thinking, right, now it's time to apply. And my top tip here, which sounds like common sense, is apply, apply, apply. Even if you don't tick all of the criteria, even if you don't think that your application is going to stand out in the crowd, apply anyway, because you never know what that organisation is looking for in the young people that is looking to recruit. Let's rewind 5 years, and I was really bored one day, so I was Googling things to do for a teenager in Essex, and the top thing that came up was the Young Essex Assembly, and I thought, what the heck is this? So I was reading through the webpage and it sounded really interesting. The Young Essex Assembly is basically our youth council here in Essex. So I was looking through and I thought, right, okay, yeah, I'm going to apply for this, I'm ready. And then I looked and the elections had already gone and I thought, oh, this is so gutting. So I decided to take matters into my own hands. I emailed the organiser and I said, is there any way I can still be involved? I know I've missed the elections, I'm really sorry. And she said, oh yeah, there's a couple of places for people who just haven't turned up and you can come along as a non-elected member. And I thought, great. So I turned up. And if we skip back to today, I then spent a further 5 years with the Young Essex Assembly, making the most of every opportunity that was given to me. If I hadn't have taken matters into my own hands on that first day and sent an email, even though I'd missed the application deadline, then I would not have done all of the cool things that I've done today. My next tip is to turn up to everything. Literally everything. The clue is in the title of activist. You have to be active in order to get noticed. When I was at the Young Essex Assembly, there would be 3 or 4 meetings a week. And regardless of how interested I was in the topic, regardless of whether it was about like the 44th line of the Constitution, or if it was about the day trip that we were going to have the next week, which certainly interested me more, I would turn up anyway. And the thing that I found was when you have good attendance and you throw your all into these things, you will often get rewarded with different opportunities that come up. Because when there's only 5 spaces and there's 75 of you fighting for it, 30 of you haven't turned up at all, 40 of you have turned up sometimes but not all the time. The 5 people who turn up consistently and all the time are most likely to be the ones who are chosen. So you have to make sure that you put your all into what you're doing. My next tip, which is going to sound a little bit strange but is so important, is to find what you're passionate about and make that your main priority. If I talked about any one of my friends who I'd met through different organisations or youth work or youth parliament, I would be able to tell you exactly what their niche as such is. For example, my friend Jessie, who you saw in the other video, she is really passionate about reducing the amount of street harassment that happens to women and girls. She's tweeting different articles that she's seen from different organisations, and she mainly works with organisations that are all about furthering the voices of women and girls, such as Plan International. There's another really passionate youth activist in Essex who is a young carer herself and is really passionate about making sure that young carers' voices are not lost. And she works with different government officials to make sure that happens, and particularly in the coronavirus pandemic, she has been bugging the Minister for Children and Families in order to make sure that young people who are not represented can have their voices heard at the coronavirus briefings. If you find your passion and make it known on Twitter and sharing different useful resources surrounding what you're really passionate about, then you're more likely to get identified by media outlets or other organisations as being a young person that they really want to hear from. And my final tip, which is so important, is to support others and they will support you. If you see someone's doing something really cool and it's not necessarily what you're interested in, but it's still really cool, then be sure to retweet that, support their work, and they will do the same back to you. That's going to help you to get your message out there so much quicker. One of the opportunities which I've had in the past couple of years was to apply for the Plan International Youth Advisory Board, and the only reason that I knew about that was because my friend Jessie, who had previously been on it and I'd worked with in Youth Parliament, I'd made friends with her and we'd connected on Twitter, she messaged me and said, "Hey Imogen, this seems like something you'd be really interested in, I wonder if you want to apply." I hadn't seen it on Twitter myself, I wasn't going to apply, I didn't even know it existed, but when she messaged me I looked into it, I applied, and now I've had some really fantastic opportunities through them. I've been to events at St James's Palace and met people who are really influential in the international development sector, as well as being able to advocate for a charity that I didn't know much about before but actually is doing fantastic work for furthering the voices of women and girls all around the globe. So that is all for this video. I really hope that you've enjoyed hearing some anecdotes from some things I've been doing with Youth Voice in the past 5 or so years, and hopefully these tips will have helped you if you're looking to get involved in activism or youth voice work in the near future. If you have enjoyed this video, give it a big thumbs up, click that subscribe button down below, being sure to turn on that ding bell thing so that you are notified next time I post, and leave me a comment telling me what your favourite thing about this video was, or something that you've been getting involved with during this quarantine period. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you next time.